Hey, what's up, YouTube? Yu-Gi-Oh! Trader 101 here, back with part 2 of my deck profile. Sorry about that, my phone ran out of space on it. So at 15 minutes or so, I cut off the first part of the video by talking about Maxi. Well, now let's carry on. If anybody's looking for part 1, they accidentally click this one first. I imagine somewhere there'll be a related link, somewhere, related videos at the end of this. Somewhere you'll find part 1 where you can watch from the start of the deck on. Or maybe you only want to talk about the side deck, in which case we're carrying on with that right now. 3 copies of Snowman Eater. Why in the world would you main deck or side deck this card when you main deck Skill Drain? I got that question a few times. Well, the answer is this is not only specifically for Diana Rabbit, first of all. It's the nuts against the mirror match. And it's unbelievable against Diana Rabbit, regardless of if you play Skill Drain. Because what happens if you already have Skill Drain up? Chances are you're in a pretty dominant position. And if you draw this 1900 defense monster, and you're able to get rid of their Lagias and Dolkas that have no effect with Dimensional Prisons, and Mirror Force, and Book of Moon, and this and that, this card ends up trumping all the cards in their deck because he's 1900 defense. Very basic. Big defense really matters in that matchup. And if you don't have Skill Drain, he's Snowman Eater, the single best monster in the entire game to combat that deck. So why else would you play? It's also water, which works with Miracle Fusion, which put Dino Rabbit decks in really awkward situations if you're able to get the Absolute Zero out. I brought Absolute Zero out once this tournament. It wasn't against that deck, though, but theoretically, you could do that. He also technically has 300 defense. He's rather a level 3. I never summoned a ranked 4, but the ability to go into an Acid Golem with Skill Drain up warranted even more so. That never happened. That was me like living the dream of resolving 2 snowmen and exceeding into an Acid Golem with Skill Drain up. Like killing 2 guys and then flipping Skill Drain or something crazy like that. Never happened. I really wasn't planning on it happening, but hey, the potential was there. I at least considered it. Snowmen, still good. You need this. I was going to play 3 of this card in any deck I played no matter what. I was going to main them if I played Dino Rabbit. Next up, Forbidden Chalice. Everybody knows about this card. Well, that's not true. I was just kidding. Some people knew about this card. The cat was kind of let out of the bag about this card. This card's awesome, to say the least. It's like Chalice, or it's like Lance, where you can do it in the damage step. But in this deck, lots of this deck, this does so much. This does a lot for a lot of decks. I would play this if I played Dino Rabbit, but this just does so much for this deck. Like for Dino Rabbit, it negates Snowman Eater, it negates Reaper, and it negates Gel and Duo, and so on, all in the damage step. So you can attack into a Reaper, and I'll just do this in the damage step. What happens? The effect is negated. So you just targeted it. It doesn't die. Well, that's correct. But it now has no effect, and it just battled, so it dies in the result of battle. Snowman Eater. Well, that Thunder King I really wanted, so I'll just Chalice your Snowman Eater, and now I can simply get around your 1900 defense monster by going into the Shining or some way, shape, or form. I mean, obviously it's not that great. You trade your Chalice for their Snowman effect, and still have to deal with the 1900 defense, but it's still very versatile. What's your trump card? Virtually all your matchups. Skill Drain. What are they going to do? Side deck MST, Dust Tornado, and Royal Decree. So they'll have one of those. They'll get your Skill Drain off the field. They'll have Decree up. Now what are they expecting? They're expecting to be able to go off. Chalice stops that. You're against the wind-ups. They have Decree up. They think they're good. They summon their Tour Guide, ready to go off. You wait for maybe Zen Maddie or this or that. You flip your Chalice. What happens now? Now they're in the awkward position of having a face-up Royal Decree, stopping their own defensive traps. After their push or their loop was just stopped by a Chalice because it's a spell, not a trap. My deck has a bunch of 1900/Miracle Fusions. I'm about to go over the top of all of their monsters that have just been, perhaps Zen Maddie, which has just been negated by Chalice. I'm able to take control of the game, put them in an awkward position. Now you need a way to either come back over the top of me, or simply lose the game. Chalice, huge. Helps you enroll the Kree Warriors, helps you play out of Reapers and Snowman Eaters and this and that. Huge trump card. And this is awesome. Did this a couple times. You attack with Barbaros. They're like, sure. There's 19, there's no skill drains, nothing like that. You can damage step Chalice. What happens? Barbaros gets negated. It jumps up from 19 to 3,000 because it has no effect now, and then gets an additional 400 bonus. So you just push for 14. It's like a 1,500 attack rush recklessly with your Barbaros. And your Barbaros stays at 3,000 because it has no effect, like, ever. Next turn, 3,000. This lasts until the end of the turn, but now it acknowledges that it's at 3,000 and you're good to go. Double space, that versatile card. If you know how to read back rows, it's very important. You can target the Lance that you just know is there, or this or that. And it's good against the Gates of the Dark World, which is very relevant now. It's good against the mirror match. I did side it against Insectors because it's good against Royal Decree, which is your biggest right. You need this for Decree. That's why it's there. I sided this against everything basically because you can't lose to Decree. You lose Decree so much. You side these against Decree. I know, but you need this. You need this against Decree. So important. And if you know how to play Space Typhoon, you win a lot of games. +1 off discard, a lot. Patrick Hoban will teach you about that. Double Smashing Ground. Good against Dino Rabbit. Good against the Mirror Match. Good against Insectors. You side out Deep Prisons against Insectors. You want removal? Put the Smashing Grounds in. Smashing Ground, very versatile card. Came up big throughout the weekend. Again, I sided against Dark Worlds because in order to beat Dark Worlds with this deck, you A, need to open Insane and hope to God they open bad because it's such an abysmal matchup in the first place. Or B, have a lot of chainables like Gemini Spark and Hero Blast, which can get rid of the Brows and Snows and Beiges when they're on the field before they bounce for Grapha. And if they already have Grapha on the field and need to get rid of it, you can smash it, attack with your 1900 Alias, and just hope to God that they run out of monsters before you run out of removal for their normal summons. That's about the only hope you have against that matchup. Didn't happen against Michael. Congratulations to him. I'm not sure if I said that in the part 1 of this video, but congratulations to him. Smashing Ground. Important against so many matchups, you need it. Next up, Super Poly. Why didn't you main Super Poly? The card is the best card in the game. Well, it is pretty good, and I've heard people, best card in the game is a little bit of a stretch, but a lot of people tell me I'm crazy for not main decking this card. How many Super Pols you maining? 2, 3, 0. So you're not playing Maxi, Fiendish Chain, Effective Veiler, Honest, or Super Poly in your main deck? Crazy, right? Well, consistency. I probably said that word about 15 times over the course of this video and my previous. I wanted to have the most consistent build of this deck possible. Why did not I play Super Poly? Because it's awful against Insectors, and I didn't already want to have Deep Prison, Mirror Force, and this against Insectors. It can be really awkward against rogue decks. It can be really awkward against a lot of things. I know it beats Dino Rabbit. I know it can be good against windups. I know it can be good against so many different matchups. But I have the side deck for a reason. I'll be able in games 2 and 3 to put them in. I'm playing more of my games with the side deck than not with a side deck. So I'll have the Super Poly in most of the time in those matchups. It's game 1 where I should be winning based simply because my opponent has a bad matchup. And if I'm going to be putting inconsistent cards in the game 1s, I'm going to be losing game 1s that I shouldn't lose. I need to win all my game 1s with this deck. Very important. I need to win them all because they can steal games with the Kree games 2 and 3, and there'll be nothing I can do about it. I need to win game 1. So important with this deck in all anti-meta decks. Before Decree comes in, before they side out their Veilers and their Fiendish Chains and their Maxis, take advantage of that game 1. And you cannot take advantage of that game 1 with 3 skill drains and Super Polys and Mask Changes and all of these cards. No. Basic. Stick to the basics when you're trying to win tournaments like this. Side deck Super Poly. And Double Shadow Mirror. Why not the 3rd skill drain? Well, I actually had Dark World in the back of my mind because of how awful of a matchup it was. The only difference between this and skill drain is that this doesn't boast my Barbaros. And I know that. But I was willing to compensate and say, well, Dark World is so bad that I really want to have this card against them if I were to play against them. And clearly I did. And for the extra deck, 3 Shinings. This is what I thought the least about. So there might be awkward things in here. I mean, I didn't need anything I didn't have, so it was fine. But I feel like someone's going to say, you forgot this obvious card. And I'll feel dumb. Double Nova Master. 2 because there's 2 Super Polys in Laga and Dolka. Double 0. Great Tornado. Gaia. For my Starlight Road to Stardust. I put 2 rank 3 Exceeds in my deck. I have Monster Reborn, and I have the Snowman Eaters. This is insane with skill drain, and this is simply just removal at the Exceed 3 rank. Utopia Ray, because I run Utopia. Utopia, because my deck is all level 4s. Only 1 Armor Ninja. I didn't need more than 1, but I feel in the back of my mind it probably would have been a better idea to run multiples of these. But I only had 1, and I didn't really want to try and struggle to find another. Not that there wasn't enough time before the tournament started on Saturday. But yeah, so that's it. If there's any questions about this deck, feel free to go into the comments below. I've had lots of questions on Facebook and lots of questions on YouTube and this and text and whatnot about certain card choices. If I didn't answer any of the questions that are still lingering, if you put in the descriptions, I will try my honest and absolute best to get back to you. And that's it. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed this deck profile. Hopefully I hammered away the idea of consistency over huge tournaments. I was planning on writing an article about that at some point, which I'm still eventually going to write for Alta Reality. But that's somewhere down the line. I have the whole Beyond the Top Deck series planned out in my head for anybody who's been keeping up with that. Or if you haven't been keeping up with that and you like my content, you should be reading those articles because they're right up your alley if you enjoy the content of this channel and some of the more sophisticated topics that I try and discuss. But thank you for watching, everyone. Hope you all enjoyed your weekends. If you're in Long Beach, I'm glad to have met a lot of you. And that's it.